Hello there, Mr. Mugen here. There is an entire branch of animal behavior study that deals with how behaviors have evolved around the environment that the organism lives in. For example, things like predation, herding, territory behavior, parental care. All of these things affect the survival of a species and relate back directly to where that organism lives, its ecological role. So we need to have a little bit of a feel for some ecological concepts before we tackle this. First, habitat versus niche. If a pond is a habitat, where an organism lives in that pond is the organism's ecological niche. For example, if you have a pond habitat, there's going to be an organism that lives at the bottom of that pond and might be a bottom feeding catfish. If two animals have the same niche, competition for that space will begin and one of them will eventually win out. The behaviors then must match their ecological niche, that place where they live. The second concept we have to bump into is carrying capacity. Carrying capacity is the maximum number of species that a particular habitat can hold. Once the carrying capacity is reached, there will be more survival challenges for that population. Predator-prey relationships is the first behavior to look at. When there's ample prey, the number of predators will increase. There's plenty to eat. When the increased predator population begins to feed on all of that prey, their numbers will decline as the number of potential prey declines. Less food, less ability to feed a predator population. Territoriality, things like scent marking, songbirds singing specific notes so that they can mark their territory with sound, howler monkeys, guttural noises, all of these things say, this is my area. Sometimes that area will be protected very aggressively. And all of this says, in this space, I get this food, I have access to these mates, don't come in here. Group living, such as herding, flocks of birds, schooling of fish, all of this allows for these organisms to have strength in numbers. This brings about all sorts of behaviors within that group, like alpha males, hierarchies, pecking orders, things like that. Oddly enough, within that group living, there may be behaviors referred to as altruism, when an animal's behavior benefits another at a cost to itself. Many times this is a reciprocal altruism. You scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. When that animal's behavior benefits another at a cost to itself, but does so expecting that to be flipped at a future time. Certainly, behavioral strategies that relate to the ecology of the situation revert back to mating strategies. Is that organism going to be monogamous or polygamous? Sexual dimorphism refers to the when males and females look dramatically different. The ducks that we have in Iowa show a sexual dimorphism. The green-headed mallard versus the brown and dull mallard. And certainly all of the behaviors that go into sexual selection. Do I have the proper plumage? Do I have the proper mating dance? Those kinds of things to select one mate over the other. And lastly, parental investment. If there's a high birth rate, there's typically low parental care, like with fish. If there's a low birth rate, there's typically a high degree of parental care. Many mammals do this. For example, polar bears certainly don't get between mama bear and those cubs. Behavioral ecology. How does an organism's behavior relate to its surroundings? And does an organism's behavior make it the best suited for its ecological niche? Thanks so much for the opportunity.